Walk into any high school in America or anywhere in the world today, and trust me, you'd be shocked at how many kids casually puff vapes. Picture this, your typical high school bathroom, but instead of being empty, it's packed with students smoking and passing vapes. It's now gotten so bad in schools that they started to install vape detectors in bathrooms to try and stop this new trend. Vaping is the newest addiction common among teenagers and young adults today. Now there are various kinds of vaping products on the market, and each of these products caters to different demands, preferences, and tastes. In this video, we'll discuss some of them. First up, we have e-cigarettes. These look like regular cigarettes and they're more popular among new vapers. Then there are vape pens. They are a little bigger than the e-cigarettes and provide more taste with extra nicotine. There are also the widely used disposable vapes, which are easy to use and more convenient since they are one-time use gadgets that don't need to be charged or maintained. Just puff and pass till it's done. These are the kinds you see with teenagers more often because of how simple and affordable they are. Brands like Puff Bar and Elf Bar offer flavors such as Cool Mint and Blue Raz. These flavors appeal to a certain demography, mostly teenagers and young adults. But what's so enticing about vaping? Well, people usually start vaping because they're just curious about the flavors. Some think it tastes good and makes them look cool. Others start vaping because they think it's less harmful than smoking and can help them quit smoking real cigarettes. While it has been confirmed that vaping is less harmful than smoking, it's still not safe. However, despite the health risks, the vaping culture seems to be spreading like wildfire. According to research done in the United States, e-cigarettes were the most used tobacco products in 2023. Roughly 3 million people, ages 18 to 24, used e-cigarettes at that time. That's a lot. It was also discovered that 1 in 10 young adults use one e-cigarette daily, and 1 in 3 of them use an e-cigarette at least 20 times in 30 days. We will now consider the health risks associated with this trend, using real-life scenarios. Stick around, because what we uncover next might surprise you. Seema Herman is a young teenager who was hospitalized at some point because of vaping. She noted on ABC News that vaping ended up becoming her oxygen. She said she couldn't go a day without vaping, and she vaped a cartridge a day, which is the equivalent of a pack of cigarettes a day. Because all her friends were doing it at this time, and none of them had any symptoms like she had, she couldn't bring herself to imagine that it was killing her. At this point, it's clear that people who still think vaping is harmless are far from reality, as the health risks associated with vaping are life-threatening. Apart from Seema Herman, there have been many cases of teens fighting for their lives because of vape-related illnesses. For instance, teens who vape frequently have symptoms like wheezing, coughing, and dyspnea, also known as shortness of breath. And even though scientists are still learning about the immediate and long-term health effects of vaping, a 2019 study has shown that there's still a high risk of respiratory disease for people who vape. If you didn't already know, there is a new lung injury known as EVALI, and apparently it's caused by vaping. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, as of 2020, there have been about 2,800 cases of EVALI, with several cases leading to death. Research has shown that nicotine, a key substance in vape liquids, has serious consequences on adolescent brain development. It can also harm the parts of the brain that control attention, learning, mood, and impulse control. Take Seema Herman, for example. She was not just a crackhead, she loved to dance, and according to the interview, she granted the ABC crew that she could dance for long hours before she started vaping. However, after some time, due to her vaping habits, she could barely walk due to shortness of breath. She was later hospitalized and placed on machines because her lungs had failed. A substance that placed a vibrant 17-year-old lady on machines is no joke. It has also been discovered that e-cigarette aerosols contain chemicals that cause cancer, and there's a high risk of developing chronic respiratory conditions and cardiovascular problems later in life for people who vape. For Tristan Zofeld, who had been vaping since early 8th grade, his case was not any different from Seema's. In fact, at some point, the doctors had to place him in a medically induced coma because some of his organs were failing. He was in a coma and on a breathing machine for 10 good days and had to learn to walk again after being bedridden for days. If this is what you call having fun, I choose sleeping in every day of the week and twice on Sundays. Lastly, this vice takes a toll on the emotions and finances of their loved ones, as their parents and siblings have to sit with them in the hospital beds. Imagine the trauma Tristan Zofeld's parents must have gone through, seeing their son in a medically induced coma. Given all the risks associated with vaping, we need to understand what motivates these teenagers to vape. We'll now look at how the vaping industry targets younger consumers with its marketing strategies, as well as the reasons why teens are easily roped in. Like most companies, vape companies are experts at attracting customers, mostly teenagers. They use bright and colorful packaging, and a variety of enticing flavors like cotton candy and bubblegum to entice these young users. They even use fruit flavors like grape, pineapple, strawberry, and so on. You've got to give it to their marketing teams. They're thinking on their feet. The thing with these flavors is that they soften the harshness of the nicotine, making the consumers feel like vaping is just a fun activity with no side effects. Another strategy these vaping companies use is advertisement on social media. Of course, teens spend a large amount of time on social media. These vape companies make use of influencers and platforms like TikTok and Instagram to glorify vaping and make it appear really trendy and cool. Sometimes they also do weird experiments to convince teens that vaping is harmless. These vape companies make vaping items very accessible. Despite the age limits, teenagers, especially minors, still have quick and easy access to them. Vendors also have a part to play, as they are more concerned about making money than following the rules. Imagine Seema Herman, a 15-year-old girl walking into a store and getting a vaping device. When asked how old she was, she lied, saying she was 22, and the storekeeper didn't bother to ask her for an ID. Of course, teenagers aren't going to tell you the truth when they want to get such items. Also, it's been rumored that some vape companies add extra nicotine to their vapes, so that users get really addicted and depend so much on the vapes, and that ultimately leads to more sales and increased profits. It's also saddening that young children can get vape items from older friends or siblings, and this just creates an unofficial but extensive distribution network. Another factor contributing to this issue is the state of vaping regulations. Yeah, there are rules and regulations designed to restrict minors from accessing vaping items, but the enforcement of these laws is inconsistent. Reason being that some states have more stringent laws than others. Because there are inconsistencies in regulations, vape companies take advantage of those gaps in the law to keep targeting younger consumers. If I told you how much vape companies take home, you wouldn't believe it. In the next section of this video, you're about to find out just how profitable the vaping business is. Over the last decade, the vaping industry has experienced tremendous financial growth. According to Data Horizon Research, as of 2023, the e-cigarette and vaping market was valued at $21.6 billion, and it's anticipated to reach $29.4 billion by 2032. Of course, the rapid growth of the industry is fueled by the increasing popularity of vapes among all age groups, but especially among teens. Vape companies have been able to stay relevant by consistently developing innovative ideas and introducing new products. One novel idea was the introduction of disposable vapes. With disposable vapes, their revenues increased significantly. Companies like Juul Labs have grown into one of the industry's giants, with its market share in the United States reaching 28% at its height. Juul Labs also had about $800 million in revenue in 2022. Seeing the menace that vaping is, certain measures have to be put into place to combat it. For starters, the government needs to make and enforce more stringent laws. Additionally, since high schools are another place where teens vape, schools should devise effective means to curb vaping on the premises, even if this means crafting a course on the negative effects of vaping and adding it to the curriculum. While this video might seem depressing because of the many health issues involved, we hoped you learned a thing or two. Don't forget to check out our latest video that goes into the depth on how Walt Disney made billions with his creative imagination.